If you thought Zethu had already used up every trick in her book, wait until you hear what she pulled off this time, because tonight's episode of Homecoming just proved that peace in this family was never going to last. A wedding that was supposed to bring healing has turned into the biggest scandal this family has seen in years, and by the end of tonight's episode, at least 3 relationships were left hanging by a thread. Before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome, and if you've been following this story with us for a while, you already know things are about to get messy, so let's not waste any more time and get straight into today's recap. We open tonight's episode with tension already thick in the MaNgcobo household. Matron has been trying, for weeks now, to hold this family together, but it feels like every time there's a small win, something comes along to knock it right back down. Tonight, that something is Zethu. Viewers have watched her be given chance after chance to make things right, to step back, to let her sister live her life in peace, but instead she keeps finding new ways to insert herself into situations that have nothing to do with her. Matron finally reaches her breaking point in this episode, and in one of the most talked about scenes so far this season, she tells Zethu, in no uncertain terms, that she is done defending her. It's a heavy moment, made even heavier by the fact that Matron has spent years being the one who smooths things over. Watching her finally say enough is enough feels like a turning point for her character, and honestly, it's about time. Meanwhile, Shwabi's storyline takes a turn that a lot of fans predicted but still weren't ready for. He has built a reputation this season as someone who can seem to commit to one relationship without his eye wandering elsewhere, and tonight that reputation catches up with him. We see him at the taxi rank, clearly enjoying the attention of several women, completely unaware that his actions are being noticed by people close to him. It's a small scene, but it says a lot about where his character is heading, and it sets up what's going to be a major complication later in the episode when his engagement plans start moving forward. Now here's where things get genuinely uncomfortable. Just when everyone expects MaNgcobo to be reeling from the events of the past few weeks, she surprises everyone by showing up at work like nothing happened. It's a powerful moment of resilience, but it's also one that raises a lot of questions among the other characters. Her colleagues, including Thando, don't quite know how to react. Some of them clearly feel for her, while others seem more interested in gossiping about her situation than actually supporting her. This is where the show does something clever, because it uses the workplace scenes to highlight just how isolating public scandal can be, even when you're surrounded by people every day. It's around this point in the episode that the real bombshell drops. We learn that Shwabi has been planning something behind the scenes involving MaNgcobo, and it's not good. In a conversation with his friends, he makes it clear that he has no intention of giving up on pursuing her, despite the fact that she has made her boundaries known more than once. What makes this storyline particularly unsettling is the suggestion that Shwabi may be willing to manipulate footage or twist a situation to make it look like MaNgcobo did something she didn't do. If this plays out the way it's being set up, we could be looking at one of the darkest plot twists this show has attempted, because it would mean MaNgcobo's reputation is about to be dragged through the mud for something that isn't even true. Fans in the comments have been split on this one, some saying Shwabi's character has been building towards something sinister for weeks, others saying they hope the writers pull back before it goes too far. Either way, this is a storyline we'll want to keep a very close eye on in the coming episodes. Back at the family home, preparations continue for Zethu's wedding, and the tone here is noticeably tense. There's a running thread throughout tonight's episode about Zethu wearing red on her wedding day, and several characters read this as a bad omen. It's a small detail, but the show uses it well, planting seeds of doubt that something is going to go wrong before the day is even over. Whether this is meant literally, as in something disastrous happening at the ceremony, or symbolically, representing the shaky foundation this marriage is being built on, is left up in the air for now, and that ambiguity is honestly one of the more effective storytelling choices in this episode. We also get an update on Faisal's arc tonight, and it's just as messy as you'd expect. Even after everything that's happened between him and Zethu, he still seems to be holding on to some version of their relationship in his mind. There's a scene where he insists, almost to himself more than to anyone else, that Zethu is still his wife, despite the fact that she is clearly moving forward with her life and her upcoming marriage to Shwabi. It's a genuinely sad moment to watch, because Faiso doesn't come across as villainous here, just a man struggling to accept that the life he thought he had is slipping away from him. His storyline this season has been one of the more emotionally grounded ones, and tonight's episode continues the trend, even as the rest of the plot spirals into more dramatic territory. Speaking of Zethu and Shwabi, the engagement announcement doesn't land the way either of them hoped. Rather than being met with celebration, both families respond with hesitation, and in some cases outright disapproval. The Hlongwen family, in particular, makes their feelings known, and it's clear that they see this engagement as reckless, especially given how recently Zethu was involved with Faiso. There's a particularly tense scene where a member of the Hlongwen family confronts Shwabi directly, accusing him of disrespecting the family by moving forward with someone who was so recently married to someone else. It's an uncomfortable watch, but it's also some of the strongest dramatic writing we've seen from this show in a while, because it doesn't shy away from letting characters say the harsh things that viewers have probably been thinking themselves. Interestingly, Matron's attitude toward Thando shifts noticeably in tonight's episode, and it's one of the more unexpected developments of the night. For most of this season, Matron has kept Thando at arm's length, never quite trusting her intentions within the family. But tonight, we see the beginnings of a genuine warmth between them, which surprises basically everyone, including the characters themselves. It's not fully explained yet why Matron has softened toward her, but it's a welcome change of pace after so many episodes of conflict, and it hints that Thando's role in this story might be shifting from outsider to someone who actually belongs. As if the main cast didn't have enough going on, tonight's episode also checks in on Quanyana and Spandler, whose relationship has been quietly falling apart in the background for a few weeks now. Tonight, it becomes official. Quanyana makes the decision to walk away, choosing what she describes as love and stability over a relationship that has left her feeling constantly second-guessed. It's a smaller storyline compared to the chaos happening with the MaNgcobo family, but it's handled with a surprising amount of tenderness. Spandler's mother, who has always doted on her son, admits in a quiet moment that she wishes he had been more honest with himself and with Quanyana from the start. It's one of those scenes that doesn't shout for attention, but it lingers with you after the episode ends. Faiso's emotional state continues to deteriorate as the episode goes on, and by the later scenes, he's practically paralyzed by indecision. He finds himself caught between his lingering feelings for Zethu and a growing connection with MaNgcobo, unable to fully commit to either path forward. There's a moment where he essentially throws up his hands and admits he doesn't know what he wants anymore, which feels like an honest, if frustrating, place for his character to land. It sets up what could be an interesting redemption arc for him if the writers choose to go that route, or it could be the beginning of a slow unraveling if they decide his indecisiveness has consequences. Given how this show tends to operate, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a bit of both. Thando's reaction to the news about Shwabi and MaNgcobo's growing closeness is another highlight of tonight's episode. Rather than reacting with jealousy, which is what a lot of viewers expected given the show's history, Thando instead expresses genuine support, telling Shwabi directly that she thinks MaNgcobo is good for him. It's a mature, almost surprising response, and it repositions Thando as one of the more emotionally stable characters on the show right now, especially compared to the chaos surrounding almost everyone else in this cast. By the final act of tonight's episode, the pieces are all on the board for what's shaping up to be an explosive next few weeks. Zethu's wedding to Shwabi is approaching, but it's clear that very few people around them are fully on board with this union. Shwabi's scheme against MaNgcobo is still simmering in the background, waiting to boil over at the worst possible moment. Faiso is more emotionally unstable than we've seen him all season, torn between two women and unsure of his place in either of their lives. And Matron, who started this episode declaring she was done defending Zethu, ends it looking more exhausted and conflicted than ever, clearly wondering whether her family will ever find real peace. What struck me most about tonight's episode is how well the show balances all these separate storylines without any of them feeling neglected. It would have been easy to let Zethu and Shobane's engagement dominate the entire episode, but instead we got meaningful check-ins with almost every major character, from Kwanyana's quiet heartbreak to Thando's surprising growth to the ominous setup around Shwabi's true intentions. If tonight's episode is any indication, the next stretch of episodes is going to be intense, and honestly, a little bit scary for some of these characters, particularly MaNgcobo, who seems to be walking straight into a trap she doesn't even know is being set. As always, I want to be clear that everything discussed here reflects what actually aired in tonight's episode along with reasonable speculation about where these storylines might be heading, based on how the show has been building things up. Nothing here should be taken as confirmed information about future episodes beyond what's been shown, since these shows are known for throwing curveballs at the last minute. So that's tonight's episode in a nutshell. A wedding under a cloud of bad omens, a scheme that could destroy an innocent woman's reputation, a heartbroken man who can't let go, and a family that seems to be pulling apart at the seams even as they insist on staying together. If you enjoyed this recap, let me know in the comments who you think is in the most trouble heading into next week, because honestly, there are a lot of contenders right now. Drop your predictions below, whether you think Shwabi's plan against MaNgcobo is going to succeed, whether Zethu's wedding is going to happen at all, or whether Faiso is finally going to make a decision about his future. I'll be back with another full breakdown as soon as the next episode airs, so make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications turned on so you don't miss it. Thank you so much for watching, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.